You're listening to Hot Topics on Good Mix Radio, hosted by Mike Melody and Sheila Harmony. And each week, they dive into the top trends, pop culture moments, and viral stories dominating the web. They unpack the chaos with humor, sharp takes, and insights you won't find anywhere else.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. If you're looking for a quick but still thorough understanding of the stories really driving conversations online right now, well, this is where you get it. Our mission today is pretty straightforward. Unpack the 4 big topics that are dominating feeds in this first week of October. And it's quite a mix we're jumping into. We've got this cultural explosion around 99 Nights in the Forest. Then there's the sheer dominance of NFL star Tyreek Hill, plus the political uncertainty, those concerns about a potentially U.S. government shutdown in 2025. And finally, all the buzz building for the Ryder Cup 2025. A real mix.
Yeah, it really is. And what stands out when you look across all these sources is how vital that cultural feedback loop is right now. These stories, they're not just happening side by side. They're kind of influencing each other, reflecting our collective, anxiety celebrations where our attention is focused. We track the engagement metrics, the likes, the shares, the comments, even fan theories, because those numbers, they aren't just vanity metrics. They show where people are putting their emotional energy, their intellectual energy. They really do set the agenda for public discussion.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's dive into the biggest cultural breakout first, 99 Nights in the Forest. It feels like more than just, popular entertainment. It's become this genuine cultural touchstone, almost overnight it seems. Such a blend of powerful art and deep storytelling.
It really is. It's a perfect example of a unique, creative vision, finding exactly the right launch pad at the right time. The creator has this interesting background, blending fine art with digital narrative design. And they grounded the project in some really unique cultural inspirations. But the real genius, I think, is how they kind of subverted classic storytelling ideas.
Subverted how?
Well, instead of your typical hero's journey or, straight high fantasy, the narrative's non-linear. And it focuses intensely on things like environmental themes, community resilience, that depth combined with releasing it strategically on a major digital platform. It basically let it bypass the usual gatekeepers and find this huge ready-made audience almost instantly.
Okay, so you mentioned subverting expectations.
No.
But it's not just the story, right? It needs great visuals, too. What are the artistic elements that really grab people, make it feel so immediate?
It's definitely the visual language. They use this vibrant, almost hyper-real imagery. But it's juxtaposed with some really innovative narrative tricks, like shifting perspectives or using fragmented memory structures. It's really designed to make you, the viewer, actively participate. It's not something you just consume passively.
Right, and that active participation leads straight to the viral spread, doesn't it? Influencers, celebrity endorsements, they obviously played a huge part. But there must have been something deeper for it to keep going like this. I actually saw one influencer quote that summed it up perfectly, something like, "The storytelling is so immersive, it feels like you're part of the narrative."
That immersion is absolutely key. When an influencer says that, they're not just, plugging something. They're validating a feeling the audience already has that sense of belonging. The moment that quote took off, it basically gave everyone permission to feel that deep emotional investment. And that led to this massive wave of user-generated content. Everything from super detailed fan art mimicking the style to fan fiction exploring the deeper themes. And what's also fascinating is how quickly discussion groups and fan theories popped up. The community isn't just sitting back waiting for the creator to explain everything. No, they're actively filling in the gaps, arguing about meanings, essentially co-creating the ongoing story. That active audience engagement is really what shot the conversation across every platform and cemented its status as a true cultural phenomenon.
Okay, so if 99 Nights represents that power of collective creation, let's pivot to the power of, singular individual brilliance. We're moving from the forest to the football field, focusing on Tyreek Hill, who is just rewriting the book on wide receiver dominance this season.
Oh, yeah. Hill's career path is already pretty legendary, right? From college, the NFL draft, he's consistently hit milestones, set records. But this season feels different. He's not just maintaining his status, he's elevating the entire position.
How so? What are the sources saying specifically?
Well, when you dig into the analysis of his current performance, it's not just the speed, which is obviously world-class, it's the precision.
Yep.
And the sheer volume of his production. Analysts point to his expanded route tree, how consistently he gets open even when double-teamed, still putting up record-setting yardage. And this season, he's hitting career highs in yards after the catch. That tells you it's not just straight line speed. It's incredible agility, vision, making people miss in tight spaces.
So what was the moment? What put him right at the top of the headlines this specific week? Was there a particular play or game?
It was definitely his performance last Sunday. He basically just took over the final quarter. There was one play in particular, cut a short crossing route, used these incredibly precise cuts to dodge 2 linebackers, and boom, turned it into a 60-yard touchdown. Analysts are calling it the perfect marriage of raw athletic talent and meticulous preparation. You constantly hear coaches praising his film study, his work ethic. That's what fuels those game-changing moments.
And strategically, what does a player like that mean for the rest of the league? Is he just an outlier, or is he actually forcing defenses to change how they play?
Oh, he is absolutely forcing adjustments. His presence fundamentally changes how opponents game plan. You pretty much have to dedicate safety help over the top on almost every single down he's on the field.
Right, which opens things up elsewhere.
Exactly. It often leaves the middle of the field more open for other receivers, making the whole offense much more dangerous. You can literally see the shift in defensive formations league-wide when teams play against him. He's like a gravitational force out there. And then his off-field presence just adds another layer to why he's trending. He's really active on social media, often quite funny, gives fans these genuine glimpses into his life. His interviews tend to be pretty candid, too. It humanizes him, strengthens that connection with the fans, keeps him relevant constantly, not just on game days.
Okay, so from the mastery and control of an elite athlete like Hill, we now pivot to, well, a distinct lack of control in the political arena. Let's talk about these significant and frankly growing concerns about a potential U.S. government shutdown in 2025.
Right. This is obviously complex, but it's helpful to focus on the operational mechanics driving the potential crisis, not just the political fighting. The legal backbone here is something called the Anti-Deficiency Act. And our sources really emphasize how critical this act is, because it doesn't just stop new spending. It immediately prohibits government agencies from doing their jobs, even basic administrative tasks, if Congress hasn't appropriated the money first.
So it's not like the money just runs out slowly.
No, not at all. A shutdown isn't gradual. It means government employees doing jobs deemed non-essential are immediately barred from working. They could even face criminal charges if they continue. The government literally just stops operating in those areas because the legal mechanism to do the work is blocked.
And looking back, past shutdowns always offer some context, right? The 2013 shutdown that lasted 16 days was largely over the Affordable Care Act. How does remembering that impact help us understand the concerns for 2025?
Yeah, the 2013 event and others before it, they showed us the tangible, real-world consequences. National parks closing their gates, people unable to get visas or passports processed, specific government services crucial to certain industries just suspended.
Right, not just a budget fight in Washington.
Exactly. It disrupted daily life for a lot of people. Now, looking towards 2025, the legislative sticking points seem much more fractured, even more complex than in 2013. It seems driven by really deep political divides, focusing not just on the overall spending numbers, but on these highly contentious additions called policy riders.
Policy riders, explain those.
They're basically specific non-budgetary policy changes that get attached to essential spending bills. Things one party demands that the other finds completely unacceptable.
Okay, like what specifically? What are the big ones causing the deadlock now?
Well, the sources point to the usual intense disagreements over balancing defense spending versus social programs. But more acutely this time, it's these non-fiscal demands being pushed through. Things like riders demanding very specific funding levels for border security, or attempts to kind of legislate debt ceiling strategies within the basic appropriations process itself. As one political analyst we read put it, the ability to reach a consensus will depend on the willingness of both parties to compromise on the non-negotiables, not just the dollar amounts. And right now, there are a lot of non-negotiables.
That just raises massive questions about the immediate impact. What are we already seeing in terms of public and economic fallout?
You see immediate economic jitters. The stock market hates political uncertainty, so you see fluctuations. Businesses are already voicing serious concerns about potential pauses in crucial government contracts or funding reviews they depend on.
And the social impact.
Severe. You have government workers facing furloughs, losing paychecks, and then there's the direct hit to essential services that millions of people rely on every day. And the media landscape just perfectly mirrors this whole division. You see editorial boards at major outlets taking completely opposing stances. Some are basically yelling for a short-term fix, a continuing resolution, just to avoid going over the cliff. Others are demanding comprehensive long-term budget reform, arguing these short-term deals just kick the can down the road and make the next crisis inevitable. And that split is reflected in the really intense, polarized debates you see all over social media, in polls, everywhere.
Okay, let's try and pull ourselves out of that legislative gridlock for a moment and shift focus back to competition, but this time based on national pride. Let's talk about the incredible anticipation already building for the Ryder Cup in 2025.
Ah, yes, the Ryder Cup. It's probably the most unique event in golf, isn't it? Its history goes way back to 1927. Started as U.S. versus Great Britain, then expanded to include all of Europe. And its prestige is just immense because it's not about individual glory in the same way. It's about national pride, intense teamwork, and that dramatic, often quite volatile, team format.
The foursomes, four balls, singles.
Exactly. It creates this pressure cooker atmosphere you just don't see at standard majors.
Yeah.
You only need to think back to 2012, the Miracle at Medina. Remember that? Team Europe pulled off one of the most unbelievable comebacks in sports history.
Oh, absolutely unforgettable.
That's the kind of emotional power this format has, and it's why the buzz starts building years, literally years in advance.
And the venue for 2025, that adds a whole other layer of drama. Bethpage Black in New York. That course has a reputation, doesn't it?
It's a brilliant and frankly brutal choice. And yeah, a big talking point this week. Bethpage Black is famous for its incredibly demanding conditions. It's long, the rough is notoriously thick and punishing, and it demands extreme accuracy off the tee.
Not for the faint of heart.
Definitely not. And what makes it really unique for Ryder Cup is that it's a public course, deeply embedded in that passionate New York sports culture.
Yeah.
You can guarantee a fiercely partisan home crowd, which just ramps up the psychological pressure, especially on the visiting European team. The course itself really demands smart strategy and precision over just bombing it long.
So, with the venue locked in, what's the current buzz focused on? Team dynamics, early predictions.
Yes, speculation is already running wild about who the captains might be and what their strategies will look like. For Team USA, the thinking is they'll likely focus on blending some really strong young talent guys like Scotty Scheffler, maybe with experienced veterans, optimizing for aggressive pairings in those team formats. Team Europe, on the other hand, might prioritize team chemistry, selecting players with proven track records under that intense Ryder Cup pressure. It's a different kind of calculation.
Any rising stars generating particular excitement?
Players like Tom Kim are getting a lot of attention, seen as potential key contenders, maybe even making their debuts. They could inject some fresh energy. And what really pushed this into the trending topics this week were some concrete announcements. The official schedule release, details about plans for an enhanced fan experience.
Like improved facilities, interactive stuff.
Exactly. Things like that turned the general anticipation into real, tangible excitement. And apparently ticket sales saw an immediate jump right after those details came out.
That really does cover the four corners of what people are talking about right now. From viral art to economic worries, athletic feats to international competition.
And if you try to synthesize it all, the common thread, I think, is just this extreme level of engagement, whether it's the sort of grassroots communal energy around 99 Nights, or the undeniable excellence of Tyreek Hill, or that political push and pull over stability, or the high-stakes national rivalry of the Ryder Cups. All these topics show where society is currently channeling its focus, its passion, and yeah, its concerns too.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening right now? Given these really high engagement levels we're seeing everywhere, from intense fan theories and sports debates to those tense legislative battles maybe we should consider, how does our tendency as a society to get so deeply invested in these diverse, sometimes conflicting, sometimes connected events, how does that define our collective ability right now to process culture, conflict, even chaos, and maybe think about how your own daily engagement, what you click on, share, comment on, actually contributes to the speed and direction of these very trends we've just unpacked? Something to think about.